हेलो माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, आपका मेरे चैनल लर्न विद पायल मैम में स्वागत है। सो टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू स्टडी द ह्यूमन डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम। सो विदाउट एनी फर्दर अड्यू लेट अस डाइव इनटू द टॉपिक। Today we are back with yet another video, and in our previous video we were already discussing about the different organs which are associated with our digestive system. Okay, so we have already studied the function of the teeth. Okay, how they help in chewing and grinding the food and cutting it down into smaller pieces, right? So as you know that the digestion process is beginning in the mouth only. Okay, it is beginning in the oral cavity or the buccal cavity itself. Okay, teeth is breaking down the food into smaller pieces for it to get further broken down inside our digestive system. So as you already know the definition of digestion, where the food or the complex molecules in the food, they are broken down into simpler ones, and these simpler ones are only performing the functions which they are meant to do. Okay, so your proteins as such cannot help in building our body. Okay, so first it has to be converted into amino acids, only then it can help in growing and repairing our body tissues. Similarly, the carbohydrates and the fats, they have to be broken down into simpler molecules, only then they are capable of giving us energy to do various activities. Is that clear to everyone? So if you haven't watched the previous video, basically it was a live video. Now children, you are already busy with the school since the school has already reopened. So what I thought, since most of you won't be able to devote time to come to your live classes, so I will try to make the videos and upload it to you. If you don't find it convenient, if some children would love to do live classes, then I am ready to do that. Actually, doing a live class is more easier for me than recording a video and uploading it in YouTube. Okay, fine. So we can discuss it through comments also, so you can write it down which is better and which is more convenient to you. If more people get involved, then it's better to do live interactive classes only. Okay, so as I said that the teeth is involved in chewing and breaking down the food. So organ which we had explained was the tongue. So the tongue has got different receptors or the taste buds over it, which are capable of understanding the various taste of the food that we are consuming. Okay, apart from that, it also helps in swallowing the food inwards. Okay, it just pushes it down into the next organ, which is the esophagus. Okay, and apart from that also, it is the tongue which is making us able to sing or to speak up. So that is also one more function, but that isn't associated with our digestion, so that's why they are not very important for you to remember also. But if it is asked in the exam, then you can mention all these functions too. Okay, but being associated with the digestive system, the tongue is generally helping in understanding the different taste of the food, since it has got taste buds, and it also helps in swallowing the food inwards and moves the food or the chewed and the cut food into the esophagus. Now what is esophagus? So here I have tried to draw the diagram. So as you can see here, the entire digestive system with the important parts that is given in your book has been labeled here. So always remember children, whenever you are drawing and labeling should be always on the right hand side. Okay, now here I have written everything in all the letters, as you can see, are in caps. Okay, but there's no requirement for you to do so. You can just write the first letter capital and then you can write even small letters, but this is the more appropriate way of labeling and making the diagram. Okay, now as I said, the tongue, it swallows the food, and the swallowed food then goes from the mouth. Now mouth, another thing, yes, now mouth, it has got 3 pairs of salivary glands. Okay, now the salivary glands, as the name suggests, now glands are associated with producing some products. Okay, now the salivary glands, they are involved in making saliva or involved in secreting. Secreting means they leave out that, okay, from the gland. Okay, and it comes into our mouth. So we have 3 pairs of salivary glands. Okay, and these salivary glands, they secrete a watery liquid which is known as your saliva. Okay, you must have always seen that the saliva is there with you, always in your mouth. So generally a human being secretes nearly about 1 liter of saliva a day. Okay, in a single day an individual secretes nearly 1 liter of saliva. Now, what is the importance of that saliva and how it is secreted? See, generally this saliva is meant for moistening our food. Okay, so it makes our food moistened so that they can easily slide down through that esophagus. Okay, so that's the importance of the saliva. Now, passing a solid food as such is not that easy through that muscular pipe. So what the saliva will do, it will lubricate the food. Okay, it will moisten the food so that the moist surface can easily slide down through that pipe. Clear to everyone? Okay, now salivary glands, though it is not written in your book, but the salivary glands which secrete the saliva also contains an enzyme. Okay, an enzyme which is acting upon the carbohydrates in your food. Okay, so that's why we say that the digestion has already began in the mouth cavity or the oral cavity. Okay. Now, after the food is moistened properly and then it is swallowed down by the tongue and it moves into this pipe. Okay, this pipe is basically a muscular pipe. Okay, since it's a muscle, it will do contraction and relaxation. Okay, since it's a muscular thing, it's not a flap like structure, it's not a flap of skin, it's a muscular structure. Okay, so this pipe is made up of muscles. So muscles have a property of contraction and relaxation. Now you know that our body is made up of muscles. So there are muscles in my fingers also, right? So when I'm moving my fingers like this and like this, so basically it's the muscles which is contracting and relaxing, and that's how I'm able to move my fingers. Clear to everyone? So similarly, the esophagus also, it's a muscular pipe-like structure. So it will also perform contraction and relaxation, which will enable the food to go down. So it will contract, relax, and hence will pass down the food into the next organ, which is the stomach. Okay, so for your extra information, let me tell you that the process of contraction and relaxation which is taking place throughout the esophagus is known as peristalsis. This is called the peristaltic movement. So inside the esophagus, when the food is sliding down into the stomach, it performs peristaltic movement to send the food down into the next organ, which is your stomach. Okay, so no digestion is taking place in the esophagus. It is just acting like a pipe to transport the food from the mouth into the stomach. Okay, so no digestion is taking in the esophagus. So first digestion is already starting in the oral cavity or the mouth itself. In the esophagus, no digestion is occurring, and the esophagus will carry the food into this J-shaped muscular organ. Now this is also a muscular organ, stomach. Okay, so the food will move inside the stomach, and the walls of the stomach have got gastric glands in it. Okay, what they have got? Gastric glands. Now these glands will secrete gastric juice. Okay, which will act upon the food brought down by the esophagus. So when the esophagus will bring the food down, which has been a little bit digested by the mouth, okay, the enzymes in the saliva will be brought down over here and it will be mixed with the gastric juices. Now when it is mixed with the gastric juices, it is basically some of the proteins present on the food will get digested. Okay, so here partial digestion will be occurring of the food. Clear to everyone? So with the help of the gastric juices in the stomach, the food will be partially digested. So if it is asked in the exam that which organ is responsible for the partial digestion of food, then your answer should be the stomach. Clear? Now after the gastric juices are getting mixed with the food and the partial digestion takes place, the partially digested food will be passed into the next organ, which is the small intestine. Okay. Now small intestine, it's a highly coiled structure. Why we say it's a highly coiled structure? Because this structure is actually very long. Long in the sense it is 7 meter long. So you can imagine, like we roughly estimate 1 meter to be approximately of our hand. Okay, this full arm up to this will be approximately measuring about 1 meter. So nearly 7 times of this is the length of the small intestine. Okay, and it is about 3 centimeter in diameter. Okay, so you know what is diameter by now. So it is 3 centimeter in diameter and it is 7 meters long. So you can imagine how long it is, and it has been coiled very much. You know, it has been extensively coiled to fit into this small area surrounded by the large intestine on its sides. Okay, so it is highly coiled and it is fitting in within this space of the large intestine. Okay, so this small intestine will also receive some juices from 2 other glands. Okay, and what are these glands called as? These are the liver and the leaf-shaped organ, which is the pancreas. Okay, now liver, it is the largest gland of our body. So if it is asked somewhere that which is the largest gland of our body, then your answer should be the liver. So the liver is the largest gland in our body. So since it's a gland, so it will secrete something. And what does it secrete? It secretes a juice which is called as the bile juice. Okay, now what is the function of the bile juice? Although it is not written in your book, but still I will tell you that bile juice, mainly it acts on the fats. Okay, so it is responsible for the emulsification of the fats. Or what does it mean? That it helps in digestion of mostly the fats in the food. Okay, so and another organ is the pancreas. Now pancreas, it is also a gland, so it will also produce the pancreatic juice. Okay, and both the bile juice and the pancreatic juice will come together into this small intestine. So their secretions, means the gland which are secreting the juices are the liver and the pancreas. So these 2 glands will secrete their juices, respective juices, that is the bile and the pancreatic juices respectively, and those juices will come into the small intestine. Okay, now small intestine also will secrete some juices which is called as the intestinal juice. So these 3 juices combining together will act on the food which is partially digested by the stomach. So the partially digested stomach was the food which was partially digested in the stomach was moving down in the small intestine. And in the small intestine, these 3 juices, okay, that is the bile juice, the pancreatic juice and the intestinal juice, will act upon the food partially digested food and will lead into the complete digestion of the food. So the food gets completely digested in the small intestine. Okay, this is the last point. Okay, this is the last organ where the digestion is taking place. So beyond this, further this, no digestion occurs. So it is the final terminal point where the complete digestion of the food occurs. Now complete digestion means what? All the carbohydrate gets formed into glucose, all the proteins are getting formed into amino acids, and all the fats are getting formed into fatty acids and glycerol. Means all the complex molecules, whatever were partially digested over here, now they are getting fully converted into the simpler molecules due to these action of the three juices. Okay, secreted in the small intestine. So if somebody asks you that where does the complete digestion of food occur, so your answer should be in the small intestine. So the complete digestion of food occurs in the small intestine. Okay, so after digestion has taken place, now what comes next? Now the digested food needs to be absorbed by our body. Okay, otherwise what will happen? It will be excreted out. No, we don't want excretion. We want that digested food to reach to every part of our body. Okay, and how will that be possible? Now this small intestine, it is surrounded by the blood vessels. And the thin blood vessels are known as your capillaries. So the capillaries are surrounding the small intestine. So whatever digestion has been taken place over here, all the digested food through these capillaries moves into the circulatory system. And what does the circulatory system do? It will transport the digested food to the different parts of our body, after which it will be used for generating the energy for doing the work. Now here the digestion has been completed, but that digested food has to be absorbed by the body. Okay, it has to be absorbed and taken within the circulatory system. Then it is going to be transported all around, and then only energy will be produced. Clear? So your complete digestion has occurred here. Now after digestion has occurred, after all the important things has been absorbed, all the nutrients has been absorbed by our body. So whatever waste matter is formed, that has to be removed by our body. Right? Now everything that you do, okay, generate some waste products here. Okay, so whatever waste products are generated during this digestion process will be moving into the next organ, which is the large intestine. Now large intestine, it is smaller in length than the small intestine. Okay, smaller in length, but it is wider in size. Okay, it is nearly the large intestine is nearly 1.5 meter long, but it is 7 centimeter wide. Okay, so the small intestine was 7 meter long but 3 centimeter only in diameter. But here the large intestine is 1.5 meter long but 7 centimeter in the diameter. So it is shorter and wider. So this shorter and wider organ called large intestine will now accept the undigested food, and these walls of the large intestine are capable of absorbing the water from the food. Okay, so these walls of the large intestine will absorb all the water, because water is also required for our body. Our body will try to conserve as much water as possible. Otherwise, our body will be prone to dehydration, right? So in order to avoid that, all the water molecules, whatever was present in the undigested food, will be also sucked in or absorbed by our large intestine. Okay, so after all the water also has been absorbed, now whatever waste material is generated will be moving down into a space called rectum. Okay, and this rectum will temporarily store the undigested or the waste product, okay, until and unless it is finally ejected or it is finally removed from our body through this opening called as anus. Okay, so till that time, till now this is a voluntary action. Voluntary action means what? Until and unless you do potty, it cannot be removed. Potty cannot be removed from your body. So potty has to be removed by yourself, right? So that's why it is a voluntary action, means I am controlling that. I am a controller of removing the waste product. So till the time I remove it from the body, so somewhere it has to get stored, and that storage space is known as your rectum. So rectum is an organ meant for storing the undigested or the waste products in that space. It's an organ for storing that undigested or the waste products until and unless they are being removed through the opening which is called as the anus. So finally whatever undigested or the waste products was generated will be removed out through the anus. So the mouth is beginning the digestion process. Okay, the mouth has got the teeth which is cutting down and crushing and grinding the food. The tongue will swallow the food. The saliva, the 3 pairs of saliva will help it to moisten the food, and it will be passed down into the muscular pipe which is known as the esophagus. The esophagus is also known as the food pipe, which you have already learnt. So the food pipe will pass the food into the organ which is called as the stomach. Partial digestion will occur in the stomach, and then partially digested food will move into the small intestine. The small intestine will receive the juices from the liver and the pancreas, that is the bile juice and the pancreatic juice. Apart from that, the small intestine will also secrete a juice which is called as your intestinal juice. So these 3 juices will act upon the partially digested food and will digest it completely. And whatever digested food was formed, okay, will be carried from the capillaries from the small intestine to the different parts of our body with the help of the circulatory system. And whatever undigested food was remaining will pass into the next organ, which is the large intestine. The large intestine will do no digestion, but it will absorb all the water which was there present in the undigested food. After absorption of water, the undigested food or the waste matter will be stored in the rectum for some time until and unless it is removed from our body through this opening which is called as the anus. Okay, so I summarized it also at the end. So I hope you do not have any problem in this now. So if you still have any difficulty in understanding at any point, so you can write it down to me in the comment section, okay, and then I can answer you. Okay, I've tried my level best to summarize this process of digestion as far as possible for me. And still, if you have something to understand, or if you have any extra knowledge which you have gathered from here and there from the different sources, then please do share it to me in the comment section. Okay children, so this is all for today. So we will come with the next system of our body in our next video. For now, I'm signing off. Take care children and study well.